folks, it is Wednesday and we are at 12:33 p.m. in New York time. I am going to be cooking a little bit of lunch with our leftover tomato sauce. That's right, the tomato sauce that we made on a previous live is still in my fridge and kicking. I think it's still fine. I have some farmer's market greens. I'm just going to make myself a little tomato mush sludge and that's it. I don't really have much else to say. I think all of us are past despair now. Yeah. I don't, everybody's tired. Everybody's fatigued. I was thinking I should put some protein into this bean soup, or tomato soup, or tomato sauce kale, but I don't have any beans on hand. Wow, my brain's fried. Sorry, y'all. So, maybe we just put some TVP in there, you know, get a little protein into my system. It'll cook fairly fast and have it be simple. I don't know how y'all have been, but chime in. Let us know how you've been. I've been doing a lot of organic crying, and I think my body is reaching that point of exhaustion where it's recognizing that I'm still feeling all the feels, but it's not able to kind of keep up with the exertion, the physical and mental exertion of this level of despair. So mostly just recognizing my own mortality and limits that come with having a body that is finite, and having energy that does not really renew at the speed at which we are expending it. In a way, I think our own bodies and our own civilization is a pretty accurate reflection of our environment. The detriment that we've undergone, I think, is pretty evident across all aspects of our lives. So I'm just going to try to eat some of my veggies and carry on with the day. What has me so overwhelmed? I think just witnessing how out of control capitalism has become, how lost we are as a species, how incoherent and stupefied we've all become. But check out this beautiful farmer's market kale, though, you know. Tastes really good on its own. I'm still gonna cook it down because I can't digest all this raw fiber. But it does taste really amazing. I've been spending about 10 to 15 bucks at the farmer's market every week, buying myself some nicer greens, and I can actually taste the difference. Not in all the greens, but definitely in some of the greens, they taste almost creamier. And I was just telling Erin yesterday that I think Mom would be proud to know that I'm spending a little more money on myself, buying better ingredients to put into my body. And I think at this point it's become pretty necessary for me to shift what I put into my body a little bit more. That's not to say I'm not eating questionable stuff, I still am, but I think because I don't have health insurance, the best preventative care is really just eating better quality shit. So I'm still buying myself chips and I'm still eating cheese, but I'm trying to add some local greens to the diet. So that's what I'm doing for my self-preservation. Emotionally speaking, I think my body has kind of braked itself. You know, I think we've all gone through this where we cry and experience upset for a while, and after that while, it becomes pretty clear that the body just can't keep up with it anymore. So that's where I'm at. My favorite farmer's market is the one that I go to in Jackson Heights every Sunday, but Union Square, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, also really great. I don't know which neighborhood you live in, but there's a few good ones. Damn, Eva, what's going down in Haiti? I mean, I guess shit's always going down in Haiti. Fuck. Well, Cherry, Americans don't afford drugs, actually. That's why some of us actually buy drugs from Canada, because it's not affordable here, especially if you don't have health insurance or if you don't have good health insurance. But, you know, we have money for war, so as long as we can keep the war going, I guess that's fine. Yes, if you live in New York City, you can find your closest farmer's market if you just Google it. I think they're called NYC Green Markets. It's a website that lists all the markets and the time of year that they're open. Not all of them are year round. And they have hours and they tell you what services are there. Like, some of them have composting, some of them have textile recycling, all of that good stuff. I'm gonna add a little beet pickle juice. A little bit of our kelp. I don't know why I'm adding it. I guess I'm just trying to figure out ways to use it. And I'm going to add a little bit of cumin. Basically all the spices I have here that I'm trying to use. My kitchen is becoming overrun by spices. I might have to get another shelf. I don't really know how sustainable this is. Spices are just growing and multiplying. It's a blessing. Truly a blessing. Let's add some of the celery leaf in. guys, I don't know what to do. Like, I realize that at a certain point, we might just have to unplug and live our lives and, like, take a break from the news cycle, because it just seems like unless we have organized labor movements, there's no real effect to protesting, because there's no material impact to these institutions that keep churning the capitalist meat grinder. And the United States is just not at a place where it's organized like that. I don't know how long it will be before it can be organized like that. So it's just like really distressing. Everybody's kind of burning, and I don't know to what end. But the good news is that climate change is accelerating. So I'm going to add in a little bit of frozen corn that I once bought with a project in mind that I was going to do with somebody that I probably won't get to do anymore. So just little by little, using up the pieces of my life that have been expired. Not only are ingredients expired in this kitchen, but also dreams. Yes. Movements, efforts to make organized labor movements illegal are continuing, says JM. Yep. Trader Joe's, in fact, is currently trying to make labor movements illegal. Believe it or not, your beloved TJ's is turning into a monster, as they do in capitalism. Again, it's not just one or two companies that are evil. It is just the way of the machine. The meat grinder demands ever increasing blood sacrifice, and no man can stop it. Yep, TJ's. TJ's is not only union busting, I believe it's like trying to kind of disarm the NLRB, National Labor Relations Board, and they're like striking the union movement from the source of protection, which is brilliant, if I may say so. Like, terrifyingly evil, but brilliant. I had a relatively painless period this month, so I'm thankful for that. I think my body really ran out of pain, because I have been just crying and exerting emotionally too much. I've kind of fallen into a lull, believe it or not. I've managed to go to sleep quite peacefully for the last 2 nights without even smoking, so I think that signals to just how tired my body has become. But yes, I do agree with Laura, who says boycotting collectively is effective. This is like the easiest, laziest, easiest mush we've possibly created, because it's only been 15 minutes and I think we're done. I'm gonna turn that off. I am going to add, I'm gonna taste it, and then I'm gonna try to add some hot sauce to it. This hot sauce. Añejo hot sauce. sporking it up today. This is also a gift from Erin. Not only does it have a spork, it also has this like almost can opener probability low in terms of actually opening a can, but I guess if you're desperate, you know, you can do something with it. Okay, we're gonna do this. I've been saving this. Do you see this bottle with almost no ketchup in it? Well, we're gonna rinse it out and put ketchup in there. Great. One bottle down. Give it a nice stir and mix. Then we're gonna put some mayo on top and call it a day. No knives were harmed in the making of this dish. Not deprive you of the up-close shot of the mayo going in. This week begins a series of events where they are selling real estate located in the West Bank in America. I just wanted to show you the cool patterns that come from squeezing the last of your mayo out of this Kewpie. It almost looks like petal and leaf formations. But yeah, just so you're aware, that's happening. It's happening in Canada, and it's happening in I believe the northeast part of the US. So there's a couple in New Jersey, there's one here in Brooklyn, I think there's one in Toronto, there might be one in Connecticut, I'm not sure anymore, but just wanted to put that on your radar. There are real estate companies here in the US, in America, and they are selling illegal, genocided, robbed land already. A ceasefire has not even been declared yet, and they're already selling land. So that's the state of the world. Speaking of Trader Joe's, I did pick up this cheese. I do like it. I'm very sad about Trader Joe's. I will probably start shopping there less and less. And I also saw a roach yesterday in my kitchen, and it crawled up the gap between the cabinets. So that's my life. I don't know where it went, and it was almost midnight, so I wasn't fast enough to catch it. It looked at me, and I looked at it, and then it scurried away, and I decided there were bigger things to worry about in my life than killing a roach. I think it was a roach. It was quite a big roach too. It was like the size of the first knuckle on my thumb, so sizable. I haven't seen that footage, Lando. Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. I have nothing to say to that. I think if this is indeed our world, and it seems like indeed it is, then the only thing I can do right now is to acknowledge it, is to keep supporting whatever actions I can within my means, both financially and energetically, and also to think about the fact that this is the world we now live in, and that all the priorities are really fucked, and to internalize that, like fully digest it, and to slowly begin to reorient myself within the societal structures that we exist in. And to deprioritize most everything. Because if this world does not prioritize life and dignity and respect, then I don't think anything really it's telling me to prioritize can be trusted. I am assuming that we are all dead people now. I am assuming that we are all being treated like we're Palestinians. We are not experiencing the brunt of violent assault, torture, and genocide yet. But I think this is just the world that we live in now. So if this is the world that I live in now, then I am already essentially dead to the world. So I can only live accordingly to how I'm being treated. Hi Siobhan, just saw your comment. I was eating on some cheese that I got from TJ's, which is union busting and destroying labor laws in the meantime, trying to at least. And also we just made a mush of leftover tomato sauce and some farmer's market kale and some frozen corn kernels and some textured vegetable protein for protein, because I have not been doing good eating protein at all. I've been doing good eating vegetables, actually. Protein, not a forte. I've also stopped going to the gym, so I don't really need a lot of protein. I also feel lethargic as hell. Protein is also probably not good for my kidneys to process at a higher amount. So everything is what it is right now. Techno-feudalism. I should look up that word. I've heard it several times. I don't quite know what it is, but I guess if it's just guessing, thinking, projecting. Farah says the biggest thing we can do is boycott and raise our voice and not keep quiet about this. I have been going on first dates. I don't think I've had a single date where I've not brought up Palestine. And I am always the first one to bring up Palestine. And I don't bring it up to like argue about it or talk down to them about it or like convince them or anything. It just happens because they'll ask me stuff about what I've been doing lately in my life, and if I'm honest with myself, I've been crying. I've been tired. I've been exhausted. Part of my daily routine is still mapping in real life events for Palestinian solidarity actions on Hour of Actions Google Maps, and so, I say that when they ask me what my routine is, because I don't have a full-time job and I'm very flexible with my time, and it sucks that having to deal with genocide is a part of my daily routine. A part of our daily routine. A part of our reality. Even just saying all of this sounds so stupid. It sounds unreal and stupid. Leonora says water bugs are symbols of adaptability. Oh my god, I can't talk anymore. Water bugs are symbols of adaptability and trade. They remind us that we have to be bendy to live and thrive. Water bugs additionally represent the cycle of life, loss of life, and rebirth. KCS says, I keep asking myself at these times, the slow motion train wreck is comparable to pre-World War II years before the insanity began. Any thoughts? We do have to keep going, right? Like, I was talking with an Iranian friend who, he said to me before, like, when he dies, he wants his ashes to be scattered in Palestine because his connection to the people in Palestine is stronger than his connection to Iran. And I was talking to him about this, and I'm just like, this is all so dumb. Like, I can't understand any of it. I don't know what the point of life anymore is. I wasn't saying it to sound suicidal, but like just on a philosophical lived level, like I don't understand what we're here for anymore. If this is what we're here for. And, I think he's obviously feeling it too, probably to a much harder degree than I am. And he said something that was like, if you can stop, but we won't. And I said, no, we can't stop because this is like what gives life meaning. Like if we stop, what meaning is there to life if we just submit to this. Forget about it. Not pay attention to it. Accept it. And I talked to him a little bit, and he was like, I'm not the most comforting person to talk to about this, but please don't give up. And we're here to be behind you and support you at every step. And I was like, I know, right? This is what living is. Finding people who care about things the way that you do. And trying to work on it together. For as long as you live. However long that may be. It's just really hard to know that this is the way the world has always been. It sucks. It's exhausting and it's angering. Siobhan, preach, girl. Tell us, what is the parable of the choir? Yes. Farah says, it will take time, though. Just today, Starbucks Middle East announced it's going to close some operations because of the boycott, so it works. It just takes time. Cherry says, every era has their tragedies and travesties. Imagine being alive during the Industrial Revolution and aware of what was happening and where it could lead and being ultimately powerless to stop it. JM says, that's why they say ignorance is bliss, even though it literally isn't. Jazz says, Aaron Bushnell is a true hero. He saw the world for what it really is. Leonora says, we do what we can in our unique way. Change is slow, but change is constant. Siobhan's Parable of the Choir reads, you know how a choir can hold a note for an almost impossibly long time? They're not all singing at once. People are dropping out to take a breath and coming back in. All the others cover for them. So it's ongoing. That's what we have to do too in these times. We can't do it all at once. Drop out. Take a breath. Then come back. Amen. I was washing my greens on Sunday or Monday, and I accidentally knocked into this bowl, and I made a really cool sound. I want to see if I can replicate it again. Buy yourself and thrift yourself a nice stainless steel bowl. Find a really smooth wooden spoon that you love and accidentally knock into it while you're cooking a mushy, comforting meal for yourself one day. And just take in that moment, that sound, all the sounds. and realize that you breathed through it, that you breathed it in, and that you breathed it all out. And all of your breaths include everyone else's breaths. Not just the people, but also the cars and the trees and all the little critters and water bugs. And for a moment, feel everything melt inside you and become you and change you. And realize that this process will continue until you die, after you die, and all of these elements and components and lives will carry you, what remains of you, what was always you, what was never you, throughout the air and the water and the soil, throughout the universe. And what may lay beyond it that we don't know yet. And may peace be with you for as long or as short of a time as it happens. All the avenues are the right avenues. Yesterday I visited Grandma. I've been making her crepes. A couple of weekends ago I was celebrating our food group friend Alex's birthday and we made Russian crepes. And I thought to myself, oh, crepes are kind of easy to make and Grandma's teeth are getting weaker by the day and she doesn't really seem to want to chew much anymore and crepes could be good. And crepes, I've been using all of my garlic and onion and scallion powders and in there and she seems to like it. So I make the batter every 3 days and I cook 3 or 4 crepes for her every day and I've been bringing her that plus a little bit of fruit alternating between strawberries and apples sliced really thin or a little bit of cashews and Chinese jujubes. And yesterday was the first day in a long time that she refused to go out and she told me that she was going to wait for Xi Jinping to come pick her up to go back home. And I said, okay, Grandma, if you don't want to go with me, then I'm going to go home. And she said, you go home. And I said, what if he doesn't come? Do you still not want to go out with me? And she said, I'm going to wait for him. He's going to come. So I said, okay. And if you're still here tomorrow, I'm still going to bring you crepes. So this morning I brought her crepes and she was still there. And she ate the crepe and she ate the chocolate pudding that came with her breakfast. And she saved the last bite of her breakfast croissant for me. And she said, I saved you this bite. It's so good. Usually it's not this good, but today's is really good. She said it had a little bit of sweetness in it and that the layers were all so nice and buttery and flaky. And I said, thank you, Grandma. I have some at home. That was a lie. I don't have croissants at home. Please finish it because it makes me happy to see you eat something that you like. And today she agreed to go out with me. It was cloudy and slightly rainy, a little bit of fog and humidity in the air, and it was very nice and temperate. And I spoke with my uncle and aunt on Skype because Grandma doesn't really seem to want to talk to him anymore. She doesn't really register him anymore. She will hold the phone in her hand if I tell her to hold it, but she doesn't really seem to desire communication with him much anymore. And I talked with my aunt and uncle about dating, about communicating in relationships, um, about various conversations I've been having on my first dates, ranging from what honesty means for everyone, how different people can have different definitions of what honesty is, and how to navigate different communication styles. And just last night, I had a conversation with someone about when is too early or too late to bring up concerns and differences. He had just gotten out of a 4-year relationship, and he said they were having the same core issues come up through different arguments or conflicts, that they would solve one thing and think it was solved, but the theme would emerge in yet another conflict of some sort. And sometimes in the beginning of dating someone, you don't point out small things because you think to yourself, this isn't important enough, and why would I bring it up and ruin the vibe this early for over such small inconveniences? And over time, those inconveniences build up, and you start to realize that actually they do quite bother you. And you bring it up. And sometimes your partner is confused or taken aback, or they might even feel betrayed or lied to because this is the first they've ever heard of it. And I've been watching episodes of Love is Blind. It truly is my favorite reality TV dating show. And some of these themes come up too. And to see my own personality emerge in those characters, if you want to call them that, is that one painful, cringy, and enlightening. Not to say that just because I see pieces of myself on screen I'll be able to change those aspects, but to see things that you do reflected in other people and other people's dynamics and relationships is very fascinating. And then Grandma called me over and said she was getting cold and she wanted to go back inside. And she mentioned that she was waiting for Xi Jinping to come yesterday and he didn't come. And she's going to wait again for him to come today. But she's also certain, right before we went back in, she said she was certain that she was going to die today, that her time has come. And I said, oh, why do you think that? And she seemed very tired. Her face was very, very tired and heavy. And she closed her eyes like this and furrowed her brows a little bit. And she said, somebody in here is trying to kill me, and I think they're going to kill me today. And I said, okay. And I, rubbed her shoulders a little bit, and her arms and her neck. And I listened to her while she was saying all of this to me, and I said, I just want you to breathe a little and relax, and can you calm your heart and put all of this down? And her face was still very heavy, and I think she was still convinced that she's going to die today. And I walked her back into her room, and she still seemed very burdened by it all. And she lives on the second floor, and today they hold service. I don't know if it's Christian or Catholic, but they hold some sort of religious service for residents who want to participate. And in previous services, they had to close Grandma's door because she would be screaming or yelling or acting out, which closing the door meant it would exacerbate her acting out because she thinks that they were trying to isolate her and suffocate her by closing her door. So she asked me, she pulled me close to her and she said, can you please tell them to not close the door today? And I said, okay. And I went outside and I asked one of the nurses hey, Grandma asked me to tell you that she really doesn't want her door closed today. And they said, yeah, we know. But it's just that when she gets really loud and we have to hold the service, we have to close the door. But we've learned in the past that it really doesn't help. So we're going to do our best. But can you tell Grandma that as long as she's quiet, we can keep the door open? And I said yes. And I went back to Grandma and I relayed the message. And I asked her to be good. And I left. And there is no point to me telling you this. Or maybe there is no point to me telling you anything. I guess this is just what life is. Living through these moments. Things that seem strange, but normalized over time. Things that seem tender and heartbreaking in small, small movements. And they just keep moving. And change keeps happening. And you don't really capture it in terms of its movement because you're also moving along with it. And sometimes, as you are being moved along with it, if you take a glance back and you realize how far you've moved, sometimes it's joyful, sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's scary, other times it's stressful, and it can be very emotional. And so I think what I've been trying to do in the past 2 months is trying to acknowledge this fact and trying to accept all of the emotions that emerge. And to allow myself to feel the possibility of peace that comes with letting go of a stagnant ego and letting go of the desire to control and manipulate my own reality. Because ultimately I think control comes out of a place of wanting to keep myself safe. And I think maybe what has been the hardest part of these last few months for all of us is realizing that there is no safety in this world. There never has been. Not the construct of safety that we've clarified and pruned and reified into place. That sense of safety was constructed out of the organic development of capitalism, because as soon as we can put a definition to things and label them as such, we can then package it and reproduce it and sell it. And not only can we sell that, we can sell off of all the fears that that definition elicits from us. Once we can sell the idea of safety, we can sell the idea of danger. We can sell the idea of protection. So anyway, this is pretty good slop. I'm enjoying it. Looks quite delicious. The mayo has kind of melted into a sauce. Goes really well with the ketchup-y tomato vibes.
Yes.
Leonora says, I would also say, though you were being kind and generous and always giving to your grandma, sometimes it's more generous to accept, as it allows the recipient to change roles for a moment. I agree. Thank you for saying that. I will try to accept it the next time she offers it to me. However, I will say on a more practical level, I don't really want to eat the food that grandma's touched because grandma's hygiene is not great. And my immune system right now is not great. And I think at any other given time, I would have accepted a little bite of croissant. But right now, I don't want both of us to fall sick. That's the reality of it, if we're going to be honest. But you're absolutely right. Love and care and bonding and community is constructed in the exchange of kindness. So if it's a one-way street, it's not a real bond. I feel that. So anyway, y'all, that's that. It's been raining in New York City almost every day. We'll get a sunny day or a pause every once in a while, but throughout the winter and throughout what is now spring, rain, nonstop. It almost makes me feel like we are prefacing the Great Flood. Great Flood 2.0. But yeah, thank you for listening and thank you for being here and joining me. And oh, I wanted to show you the first books that I've borrowed from the library in years. I've been following this author on Instagram. His first name is Hanif. And I checked out a couple of his poetry books. Would you like to hear a poem by him? I'm more than happy to read a poem before I sign off. I don't think they allow people from other states to get a library card in New York. I think you have to be a resident here. I think they ask for your proof of address. A fortune for your disaster. That's his name. I don't really know how to say his last name correctly, so I'll just show it to you. I believe he lives in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm not sure if that's true. This is his table of contents almost read like a poem themselves, which is really cool. It's segmented into 3 chapters, I suppose. The first chapter is called The Pledge. It is featuring a quote from Florence Welch, I think of Florence and the Machine. I want you so badly, but you could be anyone. Okay, this first poem is called It is Once Again the Summer of My Discontent, and This Is How We Do It. There is very limited punctuation marks, so I'm going to do my best to read this, but I'm not sure if I'm reading it accurately to its intended breaks. It is once again the summer of my discontent, and this is how we do it. Is creeping out of some open window, same way it was in the summer of '95 when my heartbreak was a different animal howling at the same clouds, and the cops broke up the block party at Franklin Park right before the song hit the last verse because someone from the right hood locked eyes with someone from the wrong one, and me and my boys ran into the corner store and tucked the chocolate bars into the humid caverns of our pants pockets, and later licked the melted chocolate from its sterling wrappers in the woods behind Mario's crib with the girls we liked too much to want to know if they liked us back. And there it was, the summer I learned to kiss the air and imagine it bending into a mouth, and here it is again, the summer everything I love outside is melting. And I tell my boys there is a reason songs from the 90s are having a revival, and it's because the heart and tongue are the muscles with the most irresistible histories, and I'm kind of buzzed. I'm kind of buzzing. I'm kind of a hive with no begging and hollow cavities. There is intimacy in the moment where the eyes of two enemies meet. There is a tenderness in knowing what desire ties you to a person, even if you have spent your dreaming hours cutting them a casket from the tree in their mother's front yard. It is a blessing to know someone wants a funeral for you, a coming together of your people from their faraway corners to tell some story about your thefts and triumphs. All of your better selves shaking their heads over a table, chocolate staining their teeth. I suppose there is also an intimacy in the moment when a lover becomes an enemy, though it is tougher to say when it happens. Probably when there is a song you can't remember them living inside of anymore. Even if both of you curled your lips around the words in a car at some impossible hour of morning, driving away from the place you met. I like my agony threaded together by the same chorus. Not everything is Sisyphean. No one ever wants to imagine themselves as the boulder. His words are beautiful, and I'm really, really grateful to have found, I don't even know how I found his page. I had never heard of his works or his name before, but he's been posting a lot of stuff in his stories, ranging from music. He used to write music reviews. He's very into music, it seems. He's into basketball. He's into mutual aid and justice, I guess. A lot of stories about Palestine. I think, yeah. So check him out. Really cool account to follow on Instagram, and really beautiful words and poetry and writing and all of it. So that's all I have to share with you today. I'm feeling a little bit tired, but also more at rest. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you're taking care of yourselves. And hopefully I'll see you next time. I have some applesauce. I'm hoping to make a cake with it. Maybe we'll do that on Friday. But no promises. So yeah, eat some Kewpie mayo on your kale and ketchup it. And love yourself and everyone around you as much as you can. Maybe that is our only endless resource.